All right, everybody, welcome to another edition of What's What VR. Today we have Ginger Guttner, who is the Communications Manager at LSU School of Veterinary Medicine. How are you, Ginger, today?
I am great
Awesome.
here in my game
So,
room.
what's that?
Here in my game room.
In the game room. Yeah, everybody's makeshifting, backgrounds. I was talking to a guy the other day. The best one that I've seen, people have been changing their backgrounds to, they're in outer space or different things. I actually, it was my sister. I talked with her, and she had gone and done all the right angles and taken a picture of her office where she normally would sit and threw that as her background, so it looked like she was still at the office.
It works.
So, so anyway, tell me what's going on out at the LSU school. Normally at the vet school, I'm usually there when there's an emergency, and I've got to bring, one of the. I've brought probably 3 dachshunds, miniature dachshunds, out there with back problems in the
Back
middle of the night.
problems. I was about to say I could pretty much say what's wrong with them. We are open for emergencies, so for both small and large animals. And so we had originally, when the first wave of things kind of shutting down, we had just scaled back, to emergencies and what we called, and we're still doing what we call critical care. Like you can't stop chemotherapy, right? Even
Right.
for animals. So if they're undergoing oncology, cancer treatment, that has to continue. So cases like that are continuing, and then certainly for emergencies.
Got you. So is that, you still have the doctors obviously are still there. What about students? I hear the campus is shut down,
Students are not there. So it's just faculty and staff right now. So it's veterinarians and veterinary technicians, but then a few other, but because we are open, and again, no disrespect to colleges like, English or French, but I'm fairly certain those buildings are empty, so because we have people in the building, we still have supply, things are being delivered. Those
Mhm.
have to be accepted and parceled out to where they need to be. Custodial staff are still there. Security is still there. And we still have people that take care of research animals. So we have 90 horses that live at the vet school, like for
Oh,
education. So
wow.
someone has to feed those.
I had no idea. 90 horses. That's where
About
we see when everybody's going out to the games and
right.
parking, right? That's okay.
Right.
So that's
Well,
you
some of
guys.
those are some are patients, but yeah, we call it our teaching herd. So we
Mhm.
have horses that just live with us.
What else? Do you have anything else? Is obviously you mentioned others, so you've got 90. What else do you guys take care of? We're gonna get to Mike in a little bit here. So
Yeah. Okay. Well, so there are animals that are used for research. Mice and rats and things like that. So again, none of that research is going on right now, but those animals still have to be cared for.
gotcha. So the one question, you guys oversee Mike in his health,
Yes.
obviously, at the end of the day, to take care of all that. And obviously
Every day.
that's still happening, and that's a daily
That is
chore, I can
daily.
imagine.
Well, yeah, he doesn't. He's not aware there's a pandemic, so his life should carry on as normal, and so it is.
Maybe it just the less people standing, around the cage.
Less
Yes,
people
probably.
standing around the habitat. Yes.
So is how is that? Does that the actual doctors take that, or is there a staff, that takes care of Mike?
He is assigned 2 veterinary student caretakers. They work for 2 years. We're actually in a transition right now, because you have to be on an even numbered year because it's a 2-year job. So he has a veterinarian who is a professor at LSU. But so right now he actually has 4 student caretakers because he has the 2 that are graduating this May, and then he has the 2 that have been training since February. So Dr. Baker, he went to the class of 2022 back in January, said, if you're interested, here are the responsibilities. And then he interviews them. They have to apply as a team, like you and I would have to apply together. We have to like
Oh,
each other. Well, it's a 7-day-a-week job. So I don't know where
okay.
you're from, but like my family lives in Houston. So do we flip a coin for Christmas? Like he's going to eat on December 25th. So it's really
Oh,
important that you and I like each other and are going to get along really well. Um, and so the 2 caretakers in training will take over May 1st. So right now
wow.
he has 4. So
I
once
never
they're
thought
selected,
about that. Yeah,
they
every
start
day.
they start shadowing the current ones. It's a big
Okay, so
responsibility.
so it's I'm sure that's everybody's gunning, for that. There's a large a lot of people want to say that we took care of, Mike and, while I was in school. Is What's the process like for that? You know, obviously you said they've got to apply together, you know, to take part. Is there a lot of people doing that, or not many
I
because
think
it's
it's
okay?
actually not as many as you would think. I think because I think a lot of people would think, oh, I want to do this, and then when they see the list of like, here's everything you have to do every day. Again, it's 7 days a week for 2 years. Now, granted, as partners, we can parse that out, which is what they do. Um, you know, if you're married with kids, maybe it's not. Though I shouldn't say that because one of the new ones is married and has a daughter. But it's a lot of responsibility, and you're still a full-time veterinary student. So one of the
Huh.
questions I get asked all the time is, "What time is Mike outside?" And our pat response is, "He's out no later than 8 a.m." I'm not going to tell you he's let out that door opens every day at 7:30, right?
Mhm.
Because he's been let out at 4 in the morning and he's been let out at 8:02 a.m. It depends on what their schedules are. So the way they do it now, no, well, right now, because they're training, the two new ones have to go every day, morning and night. But once they are comfortable in the process with the standard operating procedures, then they will divide the work. And what the last several sets of caretakers have done is, so let's say you and I are the caretakers. I go tonight. I open the door. He comes in the night house. I have his food all ready for him. I know how much food I've put out. I know where I put it. Like, did I pile it? Did I spread it out? I kind of visit with him for a little bit, and then I'm going to go tomorrow morning, because anyone that has pets knows how much they eat, how they eat matters, right? In terms of behavior, if something's wrong. You know, if you always put out like a cup of food and your dog doesn't eat for a couple of days, something's the matter, right?
Right.
Or if maybe they take it out of the bowl and put it over there, and that's weird. So I know how much food I put out where I put it. So when I go in the morning, I can see, did he eat everything? Did he spread it around? You know what I mean? I can, that's part of
Okay.
observing his behavior. So tomorrow morning I get there, I kind of check that out. They open a door, so he moves from the bedroom to the, what we call, I refer to it as the dining room. He has two areas. Anyone who's followed him on social media, if you see the meat art that we
Yeah.
put
Play
out,
the
right,
games.
that's in the dining room. If you see shavings, that's the bedroom side. So he has two sides. So, but if he wants to go outside, he's got to be on the dining room side. So they open a door, he goes through, they lock him in that room. They walk through the bedroom and they go out, and they have to walk the whole yard every day to make sure it's safe for him to go out. Trash blows in there. I mean, it's open because of the fencing, right?
Right.
Um, I've been out there where we picked up mushrooms that sprouted up because we didn't know if they were good mushrooms or bad mushrooms. Um, you know, they could be toxic. So they check the fencing, they clean out the pool filter. As a caretaker, you are a janitor and a pool boy. So they've got to make sure, you know, all that's cleared out. And then once the yard is deemed safe for him to go outside, they let him out. Then they go inside and they clean, because he eats on the floor and the world is his toilet. So they have to clean everything. Like, we don't, janitorial staff don't come in, they do that.
I never thought
So,
about that. Yeah, they're
so there's a lot
Janet.
of mopping. Well, we shared a video on Mike's social media yesterday. It was an interview with one of his current caretakers, and it kind of goes through that. Like, it shows him mopping the floor, it shows him putting the bedding together, putting the food out. So if you want to see that, you can go either Facebook, or definitely it's on Facebook and Twitter.
Okay.
So Mike the Tiger, no spaces. And there's a video, a really great video that kind of gives an overview of what it's a day in the life of a caretaker.
So it doesn't sound as glorious as it might, you know, sound. This is
No, oh no. Let me tell you, they would. I don't care what's involved. They would do all the things, but and they would do it for free, though they are paid. But they're paid a stipend. Like, they're not paid by the hour, right? So if they have to work extra hours, they don't get extra money. But for them, it's absolutely not about that.
And so I assume they're dividing, like you said, Christmas, someone's got to be here, you
Mhm.
know, so they kind of work it out amongst
Right.
themselves.
So the current two, one is from Baton Rouge and one's from Michigan. And so Nick went home to Michigan for that week, and Trey did everything. And then when Nick got back, he gets a week, you know, Trey gets a week off, is how they did it.
Gotcha.
But we've had some where they both live out of town, and you've just got to figure that out, right?
Hmm.
It's,
And I'm assuming they're prepared? Are these the same people, the caretakers that are working, getting them, bringing them out to the stadium, and getting them into where he goes, or is that a different group of,
No, it would be the same people. Yeah. So if we had to, he doesn't go to the games anymore, but if we do move him now, it'd be for a medical reason, but it would be what we would call the caretakers. So it would be the two students, it would be Dr. Baker. Again, for a medical reason, we'd probably have anesthesia there. It would just depend.
Gotcha. So it sounds like you guys are, I don't want to say business as usual or business as unusual, but you guys are still having to do a lot of the normal things that you'd have to do. You got a lot of animals to take care of.
The only difference in terms of his care, weeks ago, even before things got as bad as they are, Dr. Baker had told the students not to touch him. Like no one ever goes in the same space as him. There's always a barrier. And you can see in the video with Nick, like Mike will rub up against the bars and they can kind of, they can kind of pet him a little bit. So he had asked them to stop doing that. And then they started wearing masks and gloves when they're in the night house now.
Okay. I didn't realize that they couldn't go in the same space. So there's always.
No. Yeah. Tiger King notwithstanding, that's not really a good idea.
Everybody's been talking about that. I've yet to get there. So Mike, obviously everything's taken care of there, even on the vet school, side of things. Like you said, if there's an emergency, still you guys are there. Absolutely. Around the clock.
Don't close.
Never close. That's, like I said, I've been there 3 times, middle of the night, and done probably, I think, 2 back surgeries. So it's, we appreciate that. What else? Is there anything that you want to let people know that's going on, or that you guys are, what's the next step? When do you guys anticipate them? We're starting to hear some kind of phased rollout, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3.
Our hospital
do you know where you guys fall?
Yeah, the hospital director is working on that now because, part of it's not, obviously we want to serve the community, by providing veterinary care as needed, but this is training for our students, right? Like they're at home, that we're doing as much as we can. Like I think they're still participating in rounds, where they're hearing about the cases that are coming in, but it's not the same as getting that hands-on experience. So I think we're gonna obviously follow whatever the governor's directives are. But I'm pretty sure that the hospital's director is already working on a plan to phase those students back in.
Gotcha. And would that, because I think, would those students outside of a semester, do they still work, like if you're in veterinary school and working, you mentioned doing rounds, if they're not in a summer, program, are they still coming in and working through the summer?
Right. So vet school is divided into phase 1 and phase 2. So the first 2 years and the first semester of the 3rd year, you're in class, right? That's lectures, that's labs. And then phase 2, the hospital becomes their classroom. Like when I give tours of the vet school, I always tell people, I don't have a dog classroom and a horse classroom. I have a first year, a second year, and a 3rd year. They sit in that same room like all day. The teachers rotate through. So it's not like high school where you're walking around with your backpack, right? You kind of nest in your area and the professors come through. But once they're in the hospital, then they're on different rotations or blocks for 2 weeks at a time. So let's say you want to be a horse veterinarian and I want to be a dog and cat veterinarian. You and I are going to take different services, right? Like I still have to take equine. I still have to learn about horses because I want to pass my board exam at the end of the year. But I'm probably going to take 1 equine block. You'll probably take more. But I'll load up with ophthalmology, dermatology, and all those things that I know I'm going to need as a small animal veterinarian. So you have to pick a track, like what kind of veterinary medicine you want to practice, and then that determines the blocks that you take. But everyone usually gets everything for 2 weeks, and then goes back and loads up on the ones they really need.
And so what's supposed to, when they're in that, they'll continue. It's not like spring semester, fall semester.
No,
they just go.
From a fee bill standpoint, they pay LSU that way. But no, and that's what we tell their prospective students. You don't get a summer break after 2nd year, right?
You keep going.
You're just gonna power through. Now that it's 15 months, and I think they're given 8 weeks that they can use as vacation. They can use for what we call externships, where again, if you want to really concentrate on equine, and we encourage our students to do externships because they'll go to other hospitals. They may go to Auburn's vet school. They may go to an equine only practice outside of Dallas for 6 weeks.
Okay.
And get intensive training. One of Mike's current caretakers, Nick, wants to work at a zoo. So he did a 6-week externship at a zoo, which also meant Trey had to do everything for 6 weeks, twice a day.
Wow.
Yeah, every day. So again, gotta like you a lot, right?
I can see where you make them apply together. So, that probably wouldn't work,
No, if we got paired up and I turned out you and I were oil and water, that would not be good. So he makes them apply as a team.
That's cool. And it's a 2-year that they're running, taking care of all that for 2 years.
Yeah. So like I said, the ones who are in training started in February. So they'll go all the way to May of 2022.
Wow.
But it's super cool. Right?
It sounds like it. It sounds like it'd be, there's stories to tell, but it's like anything worth it, you got to commit to it.
Yeah. So. And obviously, you don't go into veterinary medicine if you don't care about animals, and, that's part of it. And it's not required that you, like Nick just happens to be somebody who wants to work in a zoo, but like almost all the last few have all just been like dog and cat people, but they had the dedication and wanted the job. And like, so you don't have to say, I want to work with exotics. That's not a requirement.
Gotcha. Well, look, I appreciate all the information. It's enlightened me. I had no idea how this program actually worked. I didn't know the dedication, these guys. Will have to get a link to the video that you guys put out to kind of see the day in the life, for everybody.
It's really, really, really cool.
It sounds interesting, to dig more, kind of deeper into behind the scenes of kind of how this works and what it takes to maintain a habitat. And like you said, you've got to be the pool guy. You got to pick up the trash. You got to, you got to do all of it.
Like I said, you are a janitor and a pool boy.
That's amazing. Well, look, I appreciate everything you guys are doing, staying through, running the hospital, being there for the emergencies. I know the community does as well. Would love to have you back, talk more, just kind of as you guys start phasing and kind of seeing how things open up. So, well, Ginger, I appreciate it. And I'll give you back some time in your day.
Great.
Let you kind of run through from there. So, thank you very much.
You're very welcome.